videos very soon, within like the next month or so. I am going to be talking about what all of the lottery and lower teams need to do in order to get some success and the first priorities they need coming into this next season. As we all know, the NBA playoffs are starting this Saturday. I am posting my NBA playoff predictions video on Friday. So make sure you guys check out that video on Friday, right before the official playoffs start. And make sure you check out yesterday's video. I did a whisper ramble type of video, reading Star Wars facts. If you are into Star Wars, into my Star Wars Battlefront 2 sort of series I've been doing on my channel, make sure you check out that video as well. Also, make sure you leave a like on this video if you did like this video, and also subscribe to the channel if you want to be entered into, well, you should do it anyway, but if you want to be entered into the 7.5k subscriber giveaway, make sure you subscribe to the channel, obviously. And yeah, other than that, I think that's it. So let's get started right into tonight's video. Alright, so this is probably going to be a fairly quick video because I'm not going to be talking about all of the NBA teams. I'm going to wait till after the season is over to talk about, what every team in the NBA needs to do to get better, because obviously even the championship winning teams always have something to improve on. I'm just going to be talking about the lottery, the lower end of the NBA, I guess you could say, and what their first priority should be when entering the off season. Alright, so I guess I'll just get started with some teams here. I will start with the Chicago Bulls. Now, I know, in my opinion, the Chicago Bulls aren't a, bottom team in the NBA. I think they just had a late start to their newer, more improved team, obviously acquiring Nikola Vucevic from the Orlando Magic, and also just sort of trimming down their lineup, getting a more, better set in Chicago, which is really nice. Obviously having two all-stars really makes a big impact on that. Next year they will be a lot better and probably will be in that sort of 8-7 sort of potential run. And now that I can see that the Raptors, the Wizards, maybe even the Pacers are kind of on the little lower side of a downfall, maybe the Bulls can sort of replace them and get up in that standing. So that would be really cool to see. But I definitely think that just trying to find what Zach LaVine needs and wants is the biggest thing for them. Obviously, I think Zach LaVine is a restricted free agent, or he still has I think he still has one more year on his deal. So obviously, trying to keep Zach LaVine around is definitely priority number assets that you can't use now, and hopefully making them into draft picks, young players with a lot of potential, something like that. But another really good one would be, let's just say a trade with Colin Sexton. I love Colin Sexton. I think he is a good, again, scorer in today's NBA. We all saw what he did and the Cleveland Cavaliers did to the Brooklyn Nets a couple months ago. And that was a very surprising ordeal, at least in my opinion. Could you get a good package for Colin Sexton? Now, maybe it could just be a better fit piece. It could be a draft pick. It could be, instead of another young player, it could be two really good players. Maybe not on the same level as Colin Sexton, but maybe something that could help out your rebuild. That's the question. Maybe they should put their, little feelers out there into the NBA trade market and see what they can get, because I don't think Colin Sexton is the type of player who will re-sign in Cleveland given the chance. I think he would probably go somewhere else, at least in my opinion. So I think without risking that, have a little look and to see what you could possibly get out of Colin Sexton. I think it's a very big priority as well. I think he's a good young player, but something that maybe you don't want to fully rebuild around, if that makes any sense. He's a good scoring guard, but nothing that's gonna make a team better, if that makes any sense. Also, we have the Detroit Pistons, and again, Detroit looking a little bit more cleaned up from the start of the season till now. Obviously, getting off of Andre Drummond, really hitting a big restart to their team. Obviously, you have Jeremy Grant there, and their sort of young, budding potential starter in Saddiq Bey. He will probably end up being a very good player in the NBA, which is really good. The only bad side that really happened this year was the play of Killian Hayes. He didn't really get to play a whole lot. When he did, it was, promising. It was good. You know what I mean? I think that was fine. I think what their number one priority would be, at least in my opinion, would be additional scoring. They did at one point have Derrick Rose, which is cool, but I think also with his injuries, Killian Hayes didn't really get a whole lot of playing time because they had Derrick Rose. I think next year will be a great sort of sight to see if Killian Hayes can be your potential next point guard, off guard, some sort of potential in that. I think he does, have that sort of height to be that, but will he step up to it? I have no idea. But I think scoring is the next big thing. I think if your number one go-to option on a team is Jeremy Grant, that's a problem. I think Saddiq Bey is a good player, but he's not like a player who can, create offense by himself. I think either through the draft, through free agency, through anything, they could try to snag a player who can just score the ball. I think that will be their number one priority. Detroit has always been known for like a good defense, and I think, although they're a bad team, their defense isn't the worst. You know what I mean? I think if they can just keep up with what they have with Saddiq Bey being a 3-and-D type player, you have Jeremy Grant who's a good inside-out type of player who can guard 1 through 4. If you can just add on some more scoring to that team to sort of balance everything out, I think they would be on a better track. Next up, we have the Houston Rockets, and I guess the number one priority for them would just be talent. And through talent would be obviously getting the highest draft pick possible for this upcoming NBA draft. I think that is their number one priority, is this year's draft. Sure, they will have cap space to spend and splurge on some players, but I don't know entirely if that's their best deal. They do have, I think, the worst record in the NBA, at 17-55, which is terrible, but it does get them a top 3 highest odds of getting the number 1 overall pick, which I think is like 14% or something like that. The top or the lowest 3 records get the highest percentage, and they share it together. So hopefully that helps out with them. Can they get a Cade Cunningham to sort of reinvent that sort of James Harden type of offense? Hopefully. Or maybe they go in a different direction and get a Mobley. Or maybe they go with a more sort of set in stone, more mature type of try to figure out what to do with John Wall. Can you sign him off? Can you trade him? Can he play still in a good environment with your team? Who knows? But number one is talent, 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 and building towards the future. Then we're on to the Minnesota Timberwolves, which, again, very, 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 very much like the Chicago Bulls. I feel like the Timberwolves are in actually a very good spot right now. They do still suck, but I think they will be in that play-in potential spot, 9 or 10 in the West next year at the very least, if they can just stay healthy. They have one of the best big men in the NBA with Karl-Anthony Towns, with his dynamic duo best friend, D'Angelo Russell. With that chemistry can help them even go further than what they would be if they didn't know each other. And then I have a very explosive, going into his sophomore year, Anthony Edwards, with a potential top 3 pick if they get lucky, which I hope they do. Because if they don't, that pick goes to the Golden State Warriors. Terrifying. I know, Golden State always getting good draft picks. If they do end up getting a top 3 pick, they can go for, again, a Cade Cunningham if it's a number 1. If not, maybe they go with another big man like Evan Mobley to sort of play that the 5-4 switchable big man offense with Cat and Mobley. Mobley can play more of the 4, Cat can play the 5. That could be very interesting. Or you just go with the best fit and get another a wing player, which they do need very badly, a 3 or a 4. Their power forward position sucks. Their small forward position sucks. Well, I think Culver could be better, but his sort of player development isn't really where, at least I'm assuming, where they want him to be. But maybe if they get something through that, that'd be awesome. Or maybe even just trade the pick, like they did with D'Angelo Russell. They trade the pick, get a good small forward, and boom, that team is a playoff-bound team, which would be really cool. So I think the Timberwolves, again, are in a very good spot. It's very promising. They're just like a little piece here and there away from just being a playoff contending team in the West. I know, another one. But I think that would be their number 1 priority, would just be, gathering the talent to make a playoff push. I think they are ready for a playoff push. You obviously have D'Angelo Russell, who's been in the playoffs. Cat, been in the playoffs. You have a very uprising young player in Edwards. I think they can make a push next year. So whatever they do with that pick, I think is going to be what determines how that team is going to be building throughout the next, 2-3 years, if they are making a playoff push or not. I think it'd be really cool to see. But I think just with health alone, that team is in a very good position to just make it. And I think that's really cool. Then on to, again, another very promising team out in the West. You have the New Orleans Pelicans, and honestly, for the Pelicans, I've discussed and rambled on about my disappointment in the Pelicans. I thought they were going to be at least like a 9th, 8th, maybe even a 7th seeded team this year in the Western Conference, but turned out to be the complete opposite, and they really started to fall apart. I think the number 1 priority for this team would just be, oh man, I don't even know. I think number 1 for me would be veterans. I think that team is young. I think they're still one of the youngest teams in the NBA. I think it's time for them to make the mental note of, hey, we do have a lot of young talent. Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson, you have Jackson Hayes, Josh Hart, you have all these other guys that sort of have good, promising young careers. But then, what else do they have? I'm not entirely sure. Sure, they did get Steven Adams. Didn't really fit very well with that squad. And then you also have Eric Bledsoe, who's actually a very good player, but playing him alongside Lonzo Ball, who is definitely a point guard. I think if playing a better 2 guard, like a better shooting guard, would be a better answer than playing either Bledsoe or Lonzo at the 2 guard position, doesn't really make a lot of sense. So I think if just adding veteran leadership to that young squad will help that team out tremendously. I think that'd be the number 1 priority for me, but also number 1 priority would be adding probably more shooting. Sure, Lonzo Ball definitely did have a better 3-point shooting year this year. I think he averaged around 36%, which is great, obviously, from the start of his career. And then also they have Ingram, who shots from three as well. But other than that, that team is pretty dog duty at 3-point shooting. I mean, they won't even let Zion attempt threes. Bledsoe's never been really known for hitting threes. Josh Hart is pretty up and down hitting threes. So I think being able to spread the floor more for obviously players like Zion, and obviously getting more lanes and slashing and cutting from Brandon Ingram and Lonzo Ball play with their very high athleticism would be better with added shooters. So number one priority, well, obviously would just be keeping Lonzo Ball, but also it would just be adding veteran leadership to that young team that struggled tremendously from keeping big leads and keeping leads into the clutch moments. I think if just adding veterans around that team will help that out a lot. And next are the Oklahoma City Thunder, which I thought they were actually going to be the bottom of the West this year. They actually came out to be pretty okay, and definitely Shea Gilgeous-Alexander was a very big part of that. I think Shea, potential all-star next year, definitely this year could have been a snub to some people. I think he's definitely the number one go-to build-around guy on that team as of right now. But I think for them, they're definitely on like the same boat as a lot of NBA teams where they maybe have like a good piece, like sort of like a Detroit team, and they have like a really good piece, but they just need more talent around that piece. I think Lou Dort is a good player on that team. I know sometimes he plays like small forward, sometimes being 6'2", which is terrible. So I think, in my opinion, just like better guard play from that team would be very important. Maybe priority number one. Obviously, priority number one for them would just be talent. Obviously, they have 72 draft picks in the next 2 years, so I think they need to use some of those on obviously getting better guards. Again, like I was talking about Jalen Green or Josh Green, whatever his name is, from the NBA draft. I know he's in the G League, so he played against grown men, has a sort of pro status on his resume. I think he'd be a good addition to that team, getting another good scoring guard to play alongside of Shea, making Shea more of that point guard that I would really love him to be. Shea as a scorer, he's really good, but I would love to be more as a ball facilitating point guard than a two guard, if that makes any sense. So yeah, at least that should be in my opinion. They do have a pretty good chance of getting a high draft pick this year. I think they will have like 2 or 3 first round picks in this year, if I can remember, and also a couple second rounders as well. So they're gonna have a lot of talent to sort of get. It just depends on what they do with that talent. Do they trade draft picks away for players? Do they keep all their players? Do they just send players to the G League? Who knows? But I think getting a good game plan would just be the best case scenario for that team. Now, the Orlando Magic, who are one of my favorite Eastern Conference teams, also because I love Disney. They are in a very interesting spot right now because obviously this year they were rattled with injuries early on with Marco Fultz, Jonathan Isaac, even some other players just couldn't get on the court healthy. Probably really have their chances of even making a play-in spot. They did hit the big red button, which I'm very proud of. A round of applause for the Magic for finally doing it, getting rid of Nikola Vucevic, and snagging also a very good Chicago Bulls pick, because the Bulls didn't really perform very well after the trade deadline, and they got another sort of top 10 protected pick from the Bulls. So the Magic now have 2 pretty good draft picks this year. They could potentially get a number 1 pick and maybe like a number 7 pick this year. It could get really good for the Bulls. So for the Bulls, I keep saying the Bulls, for the Magic. My only thing is, and probably number 1 priority other than building talent, obviously if they get the number 1 pick, please God, take Cade Cunningham. If not, try Mobley. If not, maybe go somewhere else with Jalen/Josh Green, and getting a good wing scorer. Obviously with losing Fournier as well, they're definitely gonna need more wing scoring. I think for the Sacramento Kings, who are the team that's up next, their number 1 priority should be, what the heck are you doing with Marvin Bagley? I think it's obviously the biggest sort of thing on everyone's mind. You now finally have a dynamic duo in Sacramento with De'Aaron Fox and Tyrese Haliburton, at least it looks like. But with Marvin Bagley, he had years to develop. He wasn't on the all-rookie team, first team his rookie year. Kings team has been, I feel like, the same team ever since Boogie left like 3, 4, 5 years ago. You know what I mean? It's been a very long time. So. And yes, I know this sucks, but we are going to have to talk about the Toronto Raptors, which again, a couple years ago, NBA champions, now in the lottery, which is really weird to think about. Yeah, it was just a very off year for Toronto, at least in my opinion. Just didn't look like the same team. I obviously, a big fan of Gary Trent Jr. I'm very happy that they ended up getting him. I think he could definitely be, their starting two guard for years to come, being a very good potential 3-and-D player, which is awesome, definitely in today's NBA. But I think their number one priority this upcoming offseason is kind of like Sacramento, but on a bigger scale, is picking a direction. Are you sticking to your guns and running with Pascal Siakam as your best player and building around him, or trying to get draft picks and players and building through the draft, not through tanking per se, but, do you trade Pascal Siakam away for a new point guard, since Kyle Lowry's probably not going to re-sign with you? Do you trade him for a new big man center you can sort of build around that way? I don't know. That's what they're going to have to do. But I think we can all finally say that Pascal Siakam cannot be the team's number one option. So they have to find where they're going to find that number one option. They spent a bunch of money on Fred VanVleet. They're going to have to spend a lot of money to keep Gary Trent Jr. around, because that's why he left Portland, was because he wasn't going to get paid, and also probably not going to get a starting job, but he wasn't going to get paid. So Toronto's going to have to pay for him and any other assets they can keep. So again, where are you going with this? Are you going to be, trying to contend for the playoffs next year, finally being back in Toronto, or build through the draft? But yeah, guys, that's going to be it for me. Like I said, this video is going to be very long because I am going to be talking a lot of basketball, obviously, with the playoffs going on and the MVP and all those sort of votes and awards coming out. There will be a lot of basketball coming out very soon. But yeah, guys, I hope you have a good rest of your day or night whenever you're watching this video.